We're grateful for this time to be able to come back and report on the work that our mission group has been doing. Something I would add to Bob's prayer, that this took a village. All of you praying for the work, giving to the work, donating for the work, going on the work, and bright and shining faces wanting to hear about what was going on. This year's Baja mission trip, we went at the end of June 28th through the 4th, coming back into the U.S. on the 4th of July. As a way of remembrance, our kind of mission passage that we've been talking about is 1 Thessalonians 2 and 11. I'll start in 10 through the end, through 12 there. You are witnesses, and God also, how devoutly and justly and blamelessly we behaved ourselves among you who believe, as you know how we exhorted and how we comforted and charged every one of you as a father does his own children, that you would walk worthy of God, who calls you into his own kingdom and glory. We use that as kind of a passage to project what we're going to do for our brothers and sisters down there. And as we go through this presentation, by way of remembrance, again, Puyallup is a congregation that's been in existence. It's probably one of the earlier congregations that got set up through this organization. So there's a group of believers already there. There's a work and a solid work already going on. So for us, getting involved in what we were doing was comforting our brothers and sisters down there, encouraging them and to continue on in their daily walk, and encouraging them to follow the Lord. For those that don't know, Baja Missions is this organization that we work with and other congregations work with. It's spun up out of a need down in California, or down in the Baja. Some brothers back in probably late 70s, 80s, found a need to help children down there. At that time, at any given time in history, there's 40 to 50,000 kids homeless on the street. And so these brothers and sisters from a congregation spun up the City of Children down there, kind of like Mountain States Children's Home that we support. Brothers and sisters getting involved, and they ended up buying some property and putting a building on it and then grabbing kids off of the street to bring them in, to give them a home, to give them a chance at life. Rex Watson, who is the director of Baja Missions, was attending a church called Mayfair, I believe, and was going down to the City of Children to do mission trips. And he and the director of the City of Children got talking about what's needed down the Baja. And what was needed was for congregations to be planted, to go out and preach the word and set up congregations for brothers and sisters down there, or work with brothers and sisters down there to set up congregations. So Baja Missions was spun up. Out of that, I don't know when that was, probably mid-80s, the Baja Missions was spun up. Now there's 20, last count, 20 congregations have been set up down the Baja. Papalote, again, one of the ones that we've been supporting and working with the past 2 years, was one of the earlier ones, but it's the highlighted one down there. I imagine the first one was probably right there at the City of Children where the work started. So Friday morning early, Tom and Debbie got over to Leslie and I's house probably about 3:30 in the morning, and we headed out to SeaTac. We were on what we call the advanced team, so the advanced team getting down there before the bulk of the team to go in there and get supplies. Puyallup's mission, like was last year, was we were the advanced team going down there and getting things set up for the team. We managed the menu for the whole team down there while we were at the hotel, breakfast, lunches, and dinners. We managed the food for the kids for VBS. We managed games that the kids did, and then we managed construction projects that we went through. So same thing this year. We went down. This year it was Tom and Debbie, Leslie and I, and then Kim Olmstead from Springbrook, Medicine, San Diego. We got picked up from a van who then brings us across the border down to Ensenada. In years past, last year, what would happen is we'd get picked up and then we go to the Baja Missions office that was right there at the City of Children, swap vans, and then go do shopping and hit the road down to Papalote. This year, our support team met us at Costco. Had a bunch of people there to help us walk through and read through the signs that were all in Spanish and pick out Mexican items that we couldn't, that we didn't know of, that replace, what we're used to up here. And this is the advanced team that was there to help us. I forget the gal's name on the left. Leslie, you remember her? She worked with Pilar. Pilar is right there. She works out of the office helping Pilar. Pilar is I've talked a couple of times about it. One of the things we were there to do was make relationships with the Baja organization. So we then had the connections to all the support mechanisms and different things that we could do. So Pilar actually runs the Baja missions group out of Mexico. So any of the work, any of the teams, any of the coordination, interpreters, medical missions, all that kind of stuff is run from her. So she's an important relationship to have. Panfilo and his new wife, Aida, helping us. There's Kim from Springbrook, Tom and Debbie, Leslie and I, and then Alfonso and Angie there, the missionaries at Papalote. But this is after we got all the shopping done. Vans are loaded up and we were getting ready to take off out of there. To bring this work that we're doing kind of full circle, Pilar grew up at the City of Children. She was one of the little kids taken off the streets and given a home to grow up in and have a chance at life, and now she's running Baja missions in Mexico. To bring it even further full circle, Kim's dad used to go down to the City of Children and do mission trips down there and play with the kids like we do at Mountain States. He remembers Pilar as a kid down there, and he brought his family. So Kim, she doesn't remember, was more than likely there when Pilar was there as a kid, and she was ministering to her as a teenager down there. So yeah. So then we got on the road, a 3-hour trip down the Baja, heading out to the Old Mill. Old Mill Hotel there. There's a restaurant on the site that you'll see. It's kind of a little oasis. You get down there in that old part of Mexico, and it's all dirt and dust. But Old Mill was kind of a little oasis when we first saw it. Go up the palm tree lane there, get back to the area back there. Some shots of the place. This is on a little inlet. It's not on the ocean, but an inlet coming up. Fishing boats come through here, so it's dirty, murky, muddy water, but still a cool place. Get some breezes. Active volcano in the background that people like to go climb. Years past, what would happen is Baja Missions and all the groups that come there, that stay there to support whatever congregation they're working with, there was a laundromat at the front side of this property, and all the utensils for cooking and cleaning and all that was housed in little Rubbermaid tubs up there that would be just in the corner and getting all dirty and dusty. Last year, they ended up buying this trailer, and now they store everything that's needed for mission trips as far as utensils and taking care of the team in this trailer, to include 2 new stoves and things like that. So every team would come out, get this trailer delivered, unload it, bring it in, and get set up. These were some of the, we took up about this whole complex when we were here. So all these little rooms here we had, there's the Eucalyptus restaurant. On the right side of it is a building that goes out this way, and it's got 2 stories. So we took up most of that, and then to the left of it, going out by the palm trees, there's some other rooms out there. The ladies found some friends out there, some horses to go pet. I put this picture in because thinking about the Old Mill being an oasis and all of that, what's going on out there, we went to lunch, and I think this is the day, later this day, the bus was coming in to bring the rest of the team in, right? So we were having our lunch before the chaos started and everybody was there. And Panfilo said, hey, I have a friend who has a restaurant. So he took us to this restaurant, and it's right by the Old Mill Hotel where we at, but it was just an unassuming house out front that you get to behind a little cement wall. They lead you through this house and then out this back, and it's just this immense nice outdoor eating area, out looking at a nice bog and marsh and the water. It was just a nice day, nice breeze coming out, good food too. But after that, time, we got busy and started getting cooking for the crew coming in. Like I said, one of our chores was the food, preparing the food for the whole team coming down here. Last year, Belinda and Kim and Debbie and Leslie and Sandra and Madison did a great job on the food. This year, it's Kim and Debbie and Leslie, and that was it this year. And that gentleman right there looking at me, I think he might be sucking in his stomach there. I can't tell. That's Jeff. He's one of the shepherds out at Monrovia. He's a good guy. I like him a lot, and his wife's funny. We had some of their crew come in and help on kitchen duty, every meal, actually. So just an image of what we were doing. This place where we're set up at, it's called Casa Rosa. So the teams always rent that space out. You can see behind Jeff there's 2 double beds, or maybe even queen beds against the wall. Nobody ever slept there, but we just use that as home base for cooking and snacks and things like that. Monrovia actually had a professional flautist that was on there, so you can see some of the folks from Monrovia doing the Macarena out there before ending the evening. One of the things that Alfonso likes to do is to thank the groups that come down there, work with them, is cook a fish taco dinner. So the groups always, of course, help out with funds and buy things. But fish tacos it's kind of like brisket in Texas, right? Come and try our brisket. It's our brisket, right? It's fish tacos down there, even though this is the taco mecca of the world. But our brother Alfonso's got this family recipe, and they're really good tacos. Alfonso, his wife Angie, and that is their daughter Gabby. She also serves as one of the interpreters we have as we're going through there. Fresh pico and just the whole spread. It was super good dinner. So from the old mill, going down to Puyallup, you can see about a 20-minute drive further down Highway 1, about the only paved highway in Mexico. I'm sure there's a few others, but for the most part, it's just that when you turn east or you turn west and you're in dirt. So Primera connects up to US 1, and you can see right here on this Google image, it dropped it here, but it's actually right here. So this is the associate preacher's house, Jason and his family. Here's the building for all the classrooms, the worship hall, the clinic, and then across the street is the preaching school, and then Angie and Alfonso's house. So the missionaries we support down there that work there, Alfonso and Angie Duenas, their personal support comes from the Brentwood Hills congregation out of Tennessee, and that's where Rex is a member of. Last year when we got there, this was the sign that as we were pulling up to the site, hadn't seen what it looked like yet. This was what we rolled up on, Iglesia de Cristo, and a little bit run down, right? A little dirty, or like, okay, here we go. This year, that's what it looks like. So they did a ton of work cleaning that corner up, and for whatever reason, built a fence around Jason's house there, put a paint job on Jason's house. Now this is extra playtime area for the kids, but looks really nice. Behind, from that shot behind, is the preaching school, and to the left there is Angie and Alfonso's house. The blue building on the left is the school, the classrooms, and then the worship hall, and then that's the clinic. Clinic's open all week. People come in, get some dental work done or some medical work. So Sunday is the first time hooking up with the congregation there at Puyallup. We went in and had worship with them. And that is Jason. I didn't do a good job getting his face up there, but Jason's preaching up there that morning. Juan from Monrovia, he's doing some interpreting. We also had a crew out starting to cook, because after this we do a barbecue for the congregation. So I don't know, we made 180 cheeseburgers or something like that day. But here we're taking the Lord's Supper. Last year was a little iffy on if all of our team got to go in and do the Lord's Supper with the congregation, because we were doing all the cooking and getting things ready. But this year we made sure everybody got in there to take the Lord's Supper with the congregation there. Everybody milling around, ready for some cheeseburgers. Belinda's out there playing with some kids. This is the playground, what we did last year, so it was good to see it was still up and running. We could build something and it not fall apart. Americans, right? Yeah. Angie, they always, when these get-togethers happen, we always take advantage of the time, right, and celebrate whatever needs to be celebrated. So Angie's decorating a cake for, I believe, birthdays. Is that what it was? Birthdays coming out there. Lily on the left, she is the one, she's a very important relationship too. She's the one that manages the clinic. So when we need to do medical missions or somebody gets sick or hurt on our, she's very important relationship to have. Pilar there. And then Moses there on the right, he just likes to have his picture taken with ladies. So he's a funny cat. He joined us at the end. He was hitching a ride from the bus trip out to go see his aunt in Ensenada, but he's a good guy, works for Baja Missions, served as one of our interpreters on this trip.
He was also a kid.
That's right. He was a kid with Pilar at City of Children. This picture is way out of order. I just like the picture, but the ladies, and I was trying to figure out where they're at. I think they snuck out to go get a coffee and pastry that day.
Coyote, how do they pronounce it, remember? And it was a Coyote coffee shop.
Was it good coffee?
Very good.
Okay. So, yeah, Aida with them. Panfilo and Aida got married a couple of months after we got back from last year's trip. So yeah, she's a funny lady. So here's the group we're celebrating, eating the cake. Panfilo, Neil and Belinda's daughter here from Tennessee. She lives in Tennessee, and then the rest of the folks with birthdays. As part of the games, what we put together, and Kim and Leslie basically put them together, I think, was one of these games where the kids up front would grab water, fill up the cup, then they'd have to blindly fill up the cup behind them, and then go back, and then fill up the bucket behind them. Well, it was kind of funny to watch them. I think that kid didn't do it too well. He's wet. Squirt gun games, pushing the cup along. Kids all had fun. Little frisbee, tic-tac-toe. I don't know what that is. They had fun doing it though. The ring toss, using people, yeah. And then, like I said, we were responsible for some food, so there's some hot dogs getting grilled up. That girl's just a cutie, so this is one of the days of them saying goodbye. So VBS was going on, Games for Kids was going on, and then we had some construction projects. There was one big project we were going to be doing, and a couple if we could fit them in, and this was going to be one of them if we could fit them in. So at the preaching school, when a storm comes through, I guess from the north heading south, there was nothing covering up this front door, so rain and stuff would get carried inside the building. So they wanted to put some sort of covering out there, a little patio or something. So there was some work to do, some fascia work. There was some rewiring of some lighting. We got some posts poured and put in the ground to support the roof coming off. Then we left some materials there. We didn't get that one finished, but we left some materials for them to continue working. This was the big project that we needed to get done. This is a family from Puyallup. Just the way money and raising funds goes, every year when they had some extra money, they'd go buy some extra cinder block bricks and then just keep putting on a layer and then add more layers when they had more money. So this was gonna be their daughter's bedroom, and they were trying to put on. By the time we got there to help out finish it up, one of the daughters was off to college, the last one was there. So this was gonna be a challenge. Tom was our guy out figuring out how to do all this. You can see the wall was raised up right up to underneath the eaves here. The beam that we got was bigger than this beam, right, Tom? Yeah, it was bigger than this beam. And then behind me taking this picture was another room that they had carved out, and it was gonna be the closet for the girls, and they had a little bathroom in there. Well, it had a separate roof that was at a different height. So Tom working this out to get all this put together, custom window sizes, custom door sizes. So it was a challenge. We needed Tom to have some sort of superintendent to work for him. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the knowledge. So we found somebody. And this little guy worked us good. One of the things we learned last year, what was told to us is the Americans come down here to do this work, and we all feel like we need to have something going every second of every day, right? We need to be going, going, going to make it worth everybody's money and, our congregations that sent us. But we didn't need to be doing all the work, that we could have used some of them to work alongside us, or really more said, us work alongside them. So this gentleman right here, he's the dad of the house, the man of the house that we're working at. And he was up and ready before we even got there, had the press shirt on, had his work boots on, and was just smiling, waiting, let's go to work. So we got him involved, cutting some boards. He's up there, had to notch out that beam to get them to fit together, so he's doing some work up there. He ended up having to go back to work the following day, but that was the first day's work. Jeff's sitting there making sure he doesn't fall off the ladder. For keeping this presentation short, I didn't put in progress pictures of this, but there's the finished roof up above there, put a metal roof on it. There's a company that we got, a couple of guys really, came out and measured the slots for the windows, went and custom built some windows, and then came out the next day and put windows in. So it was all dried in and ready for them to do whatever they were gonna do with that next. There's Jeff. This guy's a new Christian, and I forget I'm horrible with names. New Christian, been going there 3-4 months, to Puyallup, jumping in and working. Oh, I forgot T-Rex joined us too. T-Rex from Texas, from Sibby, while his wife was at our house. That's Juan from Monrovia, Shane from Monrovia, and then back there is Aida's brother that came out to do some work. But we ended up working a lot that day. We went out there early and we stayed late to get this thing done because it was a chore. So probably one of the coolest, maybe most impactful projects that we did, that's Angie. So she's standing at a sink in their outdoor cooking area. So anytime they make food for, the congregation, it's all done out here, and they serve it out this window out into the play yard. She has never had hot water in there. So can you imagine dishes with 280 cheeseburgers or whatever we did, 180 cheeseburgers, all that grease, and trying to cook, clean stuff with cold water? So one of our guys was a plumber. We had him go out and pick up a hot water heater and put it in there and pipe hot water into her sink, and that's her saying, "Oh, thank you." So it's probably the most impactful one, right? Just making that kind of stuff easy. Camp Baja out there, we didn't get a chance to go visit it, but that's another a big site out there, just north of Puyallup out there. They got a bunch of buildings out there. They look to have Ladies' Day events out there. So there's not many pictures around that. The next cool piece of this trip was to a town called Santa Maria. Our mission for the past 2 years was to go and get experience, and then we were gonna have to figure out what kind of work we wanted to get into once we had relationships made, once we had kind of a support mechanism. Puyallup, the congregation there, is looking to plant another congregation like we want congregations to do, right? See a need, get involved and plant something. So this town of Santa Maria is the next location that seems to be ripe for a congregation. So we went and did a one-day mission in Santa Maria to check it out. It's another, 15 minutes from south of Puyallup. You can see how the old mill's on that inlet. Well, the Hotel Santa Maria, where we were at, is just a little bit from the hotel, but it's right there on the Pacific Ocean side. So probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes from the old mill where we were staying. Picture, one of the guys, Panfilo, likes flying drones. So this is a drone picture that he took off. You can see You can see all of our vans lined up here. This is the community center. We rented out the community center to do this one-day medical mission and have fun with the kids and meet the townsfolk and do whatever we can do. You can see the Pacific Ocean out there. Out there is a hotel, you can see, oops, right here, you can see all these fields, these ag fields here. So this town is set up to be the workers around these ag fields. It's a 365 day a year project process that they go through. So this is a permanent kind of residence where these people are at. So that hotel area that I was showing you, the executives of this American-owned company built this hotel for their executives to go down and have their meetings. We're thinking that's gonna be where we're gonna be next year on our trip, at that hotel, because it's right there in the community, 3 minutes from downtown right here. But what we did, we had, you can see the bouncy house in back. So we had a bouncy house there. It's amazing, you can find almost anything down there in Mexico if you look hard enough and you talk to the right people. But we had a bouncy house delivered. We have this area set up for arts and crafts for kids, some painting and fingernails and tattoos and all that kind of stuff. We're setting up the grills out front to get ready. I think we did 260 cheeseburgers that day for the community. You can see all the people lined up out front here to get into the medical mission we had going on. You go into the community center, we had the registration, had a place where they grabbed the vitals and a seating area and a waiting area. We had a pharmacy set up out there. We had two spots, 2 dental chairs. During this, there were some extractions going on, there were some cleanings going on, and you can make use of anything, right? I think I've bought a couple of these at Costco as well, just little gravity chairs. And then we had a place for physical exams, a doctor to be sitting with patients and, you know, come up with diagnoses and get something from the pharmacy or whatever they have to do. And you can see some cleanings and somebody's getting a shot there. I would have been busted for HIPAA violations taking those pictures here in the US. Out front, then we had some shade covering, and we had a couple of the guys, that's Jason on the right, cutting boys and men's hair out there. A lot of people still waiting. Close up on the pictures and the painting. That's Shane on the right. He was playing, is it red light, green light? Is that a game, kids game? Yeah. Red light, green light, and Simon Says with the kids. At one point, power's a real thing down there and a real need. So at one point, we had the blower going for this. I should have taken a picture of this, now that I think about it. Anyway, had the blower going for this, and then both dentists had their packs going. Well, it was sapping the energy, and it blew the fuse on that. So we had like 8 or 9 kids in that thing, and it was so we're up there grabbing the front side of it to get the door open so kids get out. They were all laughing, so nobody panicked. Had a piñata for the kids. That was fun to watch them doing that. This is a close-up on the hotel. So the thought is, Tom and I are going down there in November. They do a yearly conference where you get down there and you meet with the folks that you support, and then you come up with the year that you're going to go down for the following year for work. So during this, we're going to make a trip out to this hotel and talk to them about rates for having a team come there and stay and what kind of rates we can get. Supposedly not much more than the old mill that we're used to out there, but we'll see how that goes. Also talk to the restaurant. Huh? Go. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
With this huge umbrella, and he stopped and he hooked it up to the grill to create shade. And I don't know where the guy went for. I don't even think he just happened to see us out there in the sun and decided to set up this umbrella. I don't know what happened to it afterwards or anything.
So yeah, he was riding by and I called him over. I was trying to give him a burger. You hungry? Come on over. And he was like, what do you want? But yeah, he had this thing strapped to his bike and was just riding by and then took it off and put shade out there for the guys around the grill cooking. So I don't know if he ever came back for a burger or not. That's true. If I'm facing the grill to the left, there were some bushes out in this little field. And I'm standing there by the grill and I keep seeing this guy doing this from the bushes. And looking at him, and I'm doing this, and he'd disappear, and 5 minutes later, I'd see him again. I'd be like, come on. So he'd shake his head and go back in the bushes. He was a homeless guy out there. So I grabbed a burger and grabbed a bag of chips and a bottle of water, and I walked over to him, and he kind of stuck his head out, and I said, come on over. He took it and took off, and 5 minutes later, he was back for more. So we had people coming up and down the roads from the community, just kind of wondering what was going on. I'm sure this whole place smelled like burgers. All the kids, they were enamored with all the little chip boxes. We got tons of those from Costco. So all those different kinds of chips, they were coming up and wanting more chips and more chips and more chips. So yeah, take whatever you want. So Tom and I heading back out there, going to go talk to them about pricing for rooms for next year for the team that we have to go down. There's also a restaurant on site there. So like at Old Mill, we'd rent the Casa Rosa room to where we could set up, buy food and have all the food there and just kind of make it with the stoves and have the refrigerators there. We don't have this at this place. So we're going to have to figure out what it would look like for the restaurant to give us, 3 menus of the same and keep the costs down to feed the team while we're there. It's a picture of the whole team that was there this year, 2024. And then the 4th, we took off. We headed back to San Diego, and the whole team wanted to stay there at San Diego. We rented a hotel room at the harbor so we could see the 4th of July fireworks. We actually met back up with one of the guys there, was catching up with Mayfield's congregation coming in. So we met up with them down in Little Italy and had a hamburger with them before heading back to the hotel. I want to leave you with this picture. This is the last picture. This is the reason that we do this. This is the reason that we follow what God would have us do, so that kids like him can have the love of Jesus and have the love of God. If nobody went and told his family, what's the chances of him becoming a baptized believer? Hopefully big, but probably not, right? This little guy, I almost said his name's Chewy. I was calling him Chewy the whole time. He clung on to me for some reason, just a cute little kid. He almost ended up in my carry-on coming back. But I'm walking around with him. I got a picture. He's between my legs as I'm carrying something, doing this whole thing. And somebody comes up to me and says, "Why are you calling him Chewy?" And I'm like, "Isn't that his name?" It's like, "No." "What's his name?" "It's Jesus." "Okay." But yeah, that's the reason we do it. His mom, every time a team goes there, his mom sells trinkets, right, to make their buck, to make their revenue. So they always set up the van with the tables and the ponchos and the sombreros and the stuff. So his mom was out there working the table, and he was just having fun with all of us and the kids. So that's the presentation this year. There's only 70 slides. Some of them went longer than others. We covered your prayers for next year. It's going to be a fun undertaking. To get involved with a community that doesn't know us. We didn't even have a banner out that year, so we'll get a banner made for the Puyallup church or something down there, so there's something else. Oh, good news. So we've been praying. I've asked you guys to pray for God's direction, right? What God wants us to do. Does he want us to get involved with this or not? So some latest information, Jason and Alfonso from Puyallup, they're the ones kind of managing this church plant. Both of them went out on faith 4 or 6 weeks ago and just rented a house down there. So now there's a structure to start meeting. So they've been holding Sunday evening services at this house. And Sunday morning, they'd travel over to Puyallup for services. And there's been 1 baptism already out of that community. So I think God's already answering the question for us. We covered your prayers for next year. If you're interested in going, we're probably going to be, after the Ladies' Day, we get by this, we're probably going to be putting together meeting for the mission folks to talk about next year and try to get some ideas going. We got to get some fundraising going, just have ideas flowing. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for sending us. Thank you for your prayers for us.